And this is why I continuously talk about not putting any stock whatsoever into training camp, preseason, etc. Because Shedeur Sanders was listed number 4, and the Cleveland Browns are going to start him this Friday. I mean, ESPN has literally been putting out stats about their completion percentage and touchdowns thrown while in training camp. And you know what the problem is? They know that the name Sanders is a big deal. And so what do? They do anything that they can to profit off of that name. It's not about feeding you a stat. It's literally about trying to gain attention because they know it's a polarizing topic. But who makes it polarizing? They do. They make it polarizing when they're doing stuff like this for the Cleveland Browns and no other football team. That's first and foremost. Secondly, the Browns are literally doing one of two things. They're either trying to get people to look away and not take Shedeur seriously, or they're legitimately, okay, let's see what he's going to do in preseason. Which I hate to break it to everybody. As much as I love preseason and as much as I want to put stock into preseason, it's just not something that a lot of times happens. Now, we've had people like Terrell Davis who have absolutely made a name for themselves. Patrick Mahomes, I think once everybody saw him play in the preseason, they went, man, this bro is going to be dangerous. There's been instances. I still put stock into preseason. But I think regardless of whatever Sheduer does or doesn't do in preseason, to 90% of people watching, that's going to be symptomatic of his entire career. And I don't know that it's right. And you got ESPN now. They're giving advice to Sheduer. Here's what I would do. Broham, here's what you should do. Get his phone number and give him a call. And then leave it there and leave it at that. And then give whatever opinion you want to there afterwards, predicated upon the way that you've seen him play in college. That's it. You don't care. You're drawing a rating. This is not about Shedeur Sanders. And speaking of drawing a rating, why is the WWE and ESPN merging? You want to talk about just straight money. And if you ask me, it's probably a roundabout way to keep touch with the UFC, who's reportedly going to be going to Netflix at the end of their stint with ESPN. So right now, kind of all together, basically, let's not call it ESPN. You have Disney, you got the WWE, and you got the UFC. You don't want to give the look of being rigged, but here you are getting with an event that is literally set up. It's predetermined. Now, as a lifelong wrestling fan, I don't want wrestling fans coming for me, okay? Stone Cold is the GOAT, argue with a wall. What I am telling you is wrestling is predetermined. It's still athletic. I'm with you. What I am saying is there's already a misconception out there that sports is rigged, period. It's all scripted out. This does not provide a solid look for that. You can't get in business in the eyes of most people with somebody who does scripted sport. You understand? Do you get that, wrestling fan? And then, by the way, in addition to that, in order to be a wrestling fan, you got to have Peacock, you got to have Netflix, and now you got to have this new app for ESPN. And then in addition to that, just being a sports fan, because NFL Red Zone now, ESPN, the new app. So you're going to be paying $30 a month for the ESPN app. Then in addition, if you want NFL Sunday Ticket, you got to get YouTube TV. Then in addition to that, you got to have Peacock. You got to have Netflix. You got to have Prime. I mean, seriously, at what point do they go, this really isn't something for the common person anymore? We're making it for the elite. I miss the days where you could flip on Channel 3 and see a fight happen without pay-per-view. I was just kind of in that time frame when things started to happen with pay-per-view. Imagine growing up in the 70s, in the 60s, and being able to watch Muhammad Ali fight on NBC and still being alive in today's era and them telling you, if you want to watch this fight, you're going to be forced to pay an inordinate amount of money. I just excluded UFC Fight Pass paying for their interviews or for their pay-per-views. They're not making it for the common person anymore. This is an elite person's game. Boy, but sports betting, they got deals up the wazoo. I just feel like, and I felt like for a long time, that we're moving in a bad direction in terms of how we are presenting sports. Sure, the Super Bowl or the national championship or whatever, that still might be locally broadcasted. But what's the point if you've done all this all season long? I mean, if you're the NCAA, you might as well just turn it over. And, the NBA is going over to NBC, but even then, the NBA still has a package to watch all these games. And even then, you still have blackouts. And you have blackouts with NFL Sunday Ticket. I mean, why are we paying this crazy amount of money for blackouts? I don't personally understand it. Yeah, I do. I do. It's money. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense, right? But, I remember years ago, ESPN was popping up with stats and they were like, well, we don't get it. As many kids aren't going out for football anymore. First of all, you sat around talking about CTE ad nauseum. You wouldn't let it go. And then when you realized that it was going to destroy your way of life because you need sport in order for you to exist, you kind of backed off of it a little bit. But then you decided you wanted to monopolize everything. You want the college football playoff on ESPN. You want the UFC on ESPN. You want everything on your app, on your time, on your money, on your exclusivity. You're pretending that society has the money. What you're doing is you're betting on basically an addiction. That's what you're doing. You're betting on an addiction to sport or potentially gambling, whatever the case may be. It won't be long before none of it is televised locally. And it won't be long before everything is pay to play. It's going to start off with like the Super Bowl, the national championship games. Then it's going to move into the semi-title games and the semi-championship games. Then eventually it's going to move into the entire playoffs. Then eventually it's going to move into, if you want to watch particular games, they're going to make it pay for that, probably through like the actual team app. Then that team is eventually going to offer you a package to where you could pay X amount of dollars for the whole year and you get to see every game no matter what. And then eventually the NFL and the NCAA, they're all going to slide in. They're going to go, nope, we've made deals. If you want to watch games, it's going to be pay per game. Per event, per sport, whatever the case may be. That's literally the direction that it's going. And we're closer to that than you realize. Sad day. It's a truly sad day for sport. And if you want it to stop, I'll tell you right now, this is how you make it stop. You don't purchase. You don't watch on Prime. You don't watch on Peacock. You don't watch on Netflix. You don't watch on anything. That's the only way to get it to stop. And you'd have to do it for months, like an entire season of just, we're not watching. Sorry, Brody. We want this to be locally central again. And stop making us pay a crazy amount of money for blackouts. That's the only way to get it to stop, but it never will. Because we can't help ourselves, can we? Is what it is. All right, everybody. I am Drew Duncan. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan Radio. I am wherever you are listening to broadcast. Simply tell your device to play the Drew Duncan Sports Show, Drew Duncan, The Smoke. Wherever you listen, I am there. YouTube is the RL Drew Duncan, The Real Drew Duncan. TikTok is the same. Everybody stay safe, take care of yourselves, and have a wonderful rest of your night and or day.